I never went to a school for more than 1 year up until high school. I got arrested when I was 17 years old as well on a felony charge, and I had all this weight on my shoulders. Every single day, I literally would, my heart would break seeing how we were living, in this very small apartment.
Meet William Rivera.
He went from being arrested on a felony charge at 17 to building a $40 million business.
We went from 0 to 40 million, and it was Amazon coaching. And one of my favorite quotes is, "A thought that doesn't serve you actually controls you. Working hard doesn't equal making a lot of money." You're never gonna be successful if you don't have a strong inspiration towards something. You're only really gonna be able to network with great people when you have value to bring to the table.
So when you started your way up, was you chasing girls and stuff like that?
I didn't have a girlfriend until I was successful. Information is the only thing that can buy your time back. Your life is literally a result of your habits. If you're watching this and you're not where you want to be, ask yourself, how much have you invested in yourself? How many books have you read? How many masterminds have you gone to?
When you're getting to be super successful, making good amount of money, things are becoming easier in a way too. So why do you think a lot of people are still dealing with anxieties and stuff like that?
The quote, "more money, more problems," is fairly accurate. When you start to make more money, so as soon as I started to make money, I put it upon myself to start to help everyone.
What is your biggest challenge until today that you faced?
I would say my biggest challenge would be...
What's going on, friends? Thank you so much for tuning in to another great episode of Tom Talk Success, where I bring you a lot of different entrepreneurs from all across industries. And today I have a true pleasure to introduce a good friend of mine, William Rivera. Brother, thank you so much for coming on. But before you go, I just want to tell the audience that we, talked for a couple of minutes, and man, truly inspired by his story. I mean, the guy came up from nothing, making now millions of dollars per year. Brother, great to have you on, man. It's absolutely amazing having you on. How's your day going?
Been going good, man. Going good. Blessed to have another day alive, and a pleasure to be here too.
Man, I love it. How important it is, brother, to feel the feeling of being blessed, being grateful.
It's big, because like you said, my family was born in Nicaragua. They came to America when they were 18 years old, and they did a really good job at making me aware of the opportunity that they gave me by coming to America and the abundance of resources and things that we have here. A lot of people aren't blessed, to have the resources and things that we have here in this country. So every day, I remind myself that I'm blessed to be in this country, number one, and then also just to, be healthy, right? Be able to work out, be able to see, talk, all these things that we take for granted every single day. It's important that we remind ourselves to be grateful for those things.
Bro, I love it. And I feel and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel being appreciable even to the small stuff are the most important part we can do to ourselves. I know obviously you have massive success right now, but were you also feeling the same kind of appreciation that you have today to the big stuff when you didn't have those stuff?
No, actually, no.
Wow.
Back when I was growing up, I was a really frustrated kid. Because I just felt like the world was against me. And as I've grown up, I've realized that you create your own reality. So it's if you think the world is against you, if you think life is a battle, then it will be. And those were the things that I was focused on when I was growing up, right? My mom and dad got divorced when they were very, very young. I was raised by a single mother. I had 2 other little brothers. We would move every single year of my life. We moved. I never went to a school for more than 1 year up until high school. And all of those things I would think about and kind of ask myself, why is this happening to me? Why do these kids have way more things than I do? And I would always compare myself to other people. So I was really, like I said, a frustrated kid when I was growing up. But later I realized that if it wasn't for all of that adversity, then I wouldn't be the person that I am today. So I'm extremely grateful that I went through all that hardship, because it truly made me a stronger person.
Damn, bro, I feel that's a very interesting topic, because I found out that, as a kid, as a grown man, you might sometimes see it as 2 options. One of them can be oh, because of that, then apparently it doesn't meant to me to be successful, or I'm not meant to be successful, right? But sometimes, your situation, you can be oh, it's actually what's going to lead me to my success. So do you believe in that it can go both ways, or how do you see it?
Yeah, it's however you view it. It's your perspective. And one of my favorite quotes is, "A thought that doesn't serve you actually controls you." And a lot of people have to understand that you can, like I said earlier, you control your reality. And it's hard to think like that until a couple years later, and you're kind of viewing it in hindsight. But adversity is what creates strong people. And most people, I'm sure you can attest to this too, most people that you talk to that are successful, they normally don't have an easy upbringing or an easy life. They go through a lot of hard shit. And that's what makes them tough. That's what makes them resilient. And that's what makes them successful. So if you're someone that's watching this right now and you're going through hard times, understand that just makes your story even greater to tell in the future.
First of all, I agree with that 100% because I feel like, well, I didn't know it, but listening to people like Wes and you and other successful entrepreneurs, they're all saying kind of the same thing. Your story, how important is your story, so people trust you, respect you. When did you realize like that story is something that is important to you, to your business, to your day-to-day?
Yeah, I realized that it was important when I actually started posting content on social media. So when I was growing up, it was frustrating, it was tough, and it really put me down at times to know that like I felt like I was at a disadvantage. I got arrested when I was 17 years old as well on a felony charge, and I had all this weight on my shoulders. But when I started posting on social media and I started growing my business on social media, I realized that upbringing, that story was actually my biggest advantage. It was what I had. It was like a weapon that I had that I could use to be relatable to my audience. And that's why I grew one of the most successful coaching companies, because I was able to resonate with my audience. While a lot of people were trying to lead with the things that they had and the things that they were doing, all of my marketing was angled towards where I was and where I am now. And the fact that your current situation doesn't determine your final destination. And because I had that hard upbringing and that story, a lot of people chose to do business with me.
How were able as a marketer to market? Like, were you doing like a lot of like before and after videos on YouTube, or like, you get what I'm saying? Like, how do you market? Like, what would you tell to the audience, and like in terms of how do you market your story?
Yeah, I would say number one, as the founder, as the creator, you're gonna get tired of telling your story very quick. But the thing is, social media is so like there's so many people on social media that you're gonna have to get used to telling your story over and over and over again, because you're gonna reach different people every single time that you do it. So that's one thing that I was really good at, is I would tell my story pretty much every single day on social media in different ways. I would get on a lot of podcasts like the ones that we're on right now and kind of share how I got to where I'm at. And those clips from those podcasts and those posts that I would make on social media, I would post them, and I would also force myself to go viral. So on top of me posting it on social media, I would pay big pages like Shade Room, World Star, Spiritual Word, pages like that. I would pay them to repost my content. And that would force me to go viral. It would get me a lot of followers, and that's how I grew my brand.
I really like the strategy. Now, the question that could come up, to me, to the audience is like, so you're getting the followers, right? Do you find a product? And I know we spoke about it before. So you first create a product, then you market yourself, or you market yourself, then create a product. What was that kind of for you?
Yeah, so for me, I chose a different approach. Like a lot of people, they'll create a product and then they'll start doing marketing to get customers and sell them the product. The way that I did it was, I got on social media and I was broke, but I understood that there was power in building a personal brand. So I just took a bet on myself, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to document my process of going from nothing to something, and I'm going to build this audience, and I'm going to deliver as much value as I can through what I learned in this process.
Wow.
And I'm going to document it in real time. And that's essentially what I did. Like, I tried all of these different business models, flipping phones on eBay, reselling sneakers, Shopify drop shipping, and I just documented me trying all of these things on social media. And I built this small audience. And then once I had that little bit of success in one of those areas, then I started teaching my audience how they could do it too. And it was way easier for me to sell the audience because they kind of were there from day one.
So I would like to go a little bit back in time, right? Because I really want the audience to understand more about your story. I mean, you have such an amazing story. So you grew up with, you mentioned to me as an immigrant, came to here, was a little bit lost, right? Didn't really know what's kind of next to you. And then what was that first feeling? Like, you wanted to be wealthy, you wanted to be successful. What was the kind of thing that made you successful?
Yeah, so growing up, I saw my mom work really, really hard. Like, she always had 3 jobs, was working 24/7, never really got to see her that much. And what that taught me at an early age was that working hard doesn't equal making a lot of money. So I learned that lesson very early. I was like, you know what? Like, my mom's always working, yet we still never really have much.
Wow.
So obviously, there's this thing in America where they don't reward hardworking people. They reward the value in the marketplace that you're providing, or they reward something else. Like, you have to work smart. I learned that when I was probably like 10 years old. So that was number one. I already knew that the system was built in a way where you didn't actually have to work hard, because my mom was the most hardworking person I knew, yet she didn't have that much. Number two, one day specifically that I remember vividly is when the after school program, because I would go to the after school program every single day because my mom was always at work. So I would go to school and I would be in this like free after school program that they had until like 6 p.m. because that's when my mom could pick me up from work. And one day, for some reason, it was closed, and my mom had to take me to work. This was when I was living in Cincinnati, Ohio at the time, and my mom was actually a nanny for this professional basketball player. His name was Michael Bradley. And that was the first time ever in my life that I saw the gap between
Wow.
like the income, the tax bracket that me and my mom were in, and then the tax bracket of someone that was wealthy. So she took me to work. We went to this like crazy mansion. I got to meet Mr. Bradley, and just the way that he operated at home, the way that his family was, everything was different from just the way that they talked. His wife had a yoga studio that she owned as well. How healthy they were, like meal prep. I remember his daughter asked him for like candy, and he opened a Skittles bag, gave her 1 Skittle, and I was like these people just move different in every way. And from that day, it inspired me because I was like, wow, there's so much more in life, and this guy is living a completely different reality than what me and my mom are living. And from that day moving forward, like, I started to learn more about money. Read books like Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that's really when my journey started towards actually trying to attain more wealth.
Very interesting. So when you saw that, right? When we sometimes, in life, we see something, we see somebody, we see like a mentor, we're like, okay, we want to be like that. What would you say to the audience in terms of like, what does they need to do first? Like, you find a mentor, you find somebody, or okay, like, he's wealthy, he's successful, he has a good family, I want to be like him. What should I do next?
Yeah, I would say number one is become inspired, because you're never going to be successful if you don't have a strong why or a strong inspiration towards something, because it's hard. Doing business, being an entrepreneur is hard. I never asked Mr. Bradley for anything, right? It's like I just allowed his presence alone to inspire me, and I went and started to try to create value for myself, because you have to earn your seat at a table, right? I don't really believe in networking events. Like, networking events are great, and I've gone to a lot of them, and I still go to them. But you're only really going to be able to network with great people when you have value to bring to the table. And that value is going to come when you put in the time to get a skill, right? To learn a skill and to know something that someone would be willing to have a conversation with you for them to gain value as well. So I would say number one, when you find a mentor, start to try to create some value for yourself so you can exchange value with that person.
Bro, I feel like what you mentioned is one of the most important things to take away for the audience, is because, being valuable to people, like, a lot of time, like, I'll show you, I've been also going to like a lot of networking events. I brought a couple billionaires already to the podcast. At first I was like, God damn, like, how can I bring like somebody worth a couple billions to my podcast? But then I was like, okay, how can I be valuable to him? Well, let's say I make the studio, he can come share his story, and then we can connect. So obviously I found that value, and then now I can have him on. But let's say there's people that don't know what is their value. What would you tell them?
Yeah, if you don't know what your value is, you just have to do some deep self-analysis, right? And a lot of people actually don't know what their value is. A lot of people don't know what their strengths are. A lot of people don't know what their weaknesses are.
Wow.
And when you don't know what your strengths are, when you don't know what your weaknesses are, then it's hard to find out what you're good at. So I would start there. There's a really good book on it called Managing Oneself by Peter Drucker. And he talks about how you're never really going to have mastery in anything until you understand yourself, meaning like how you learn. Like some people don't even know the best way for them to learn, right? You could be the type of person that learns best through listening, and you're spending all day reading and you're frustrated why you can't retain any of the information. But it's like you're the type of human that shouldn't be reading. You should be listening to audiobooks. You should be going to masterminds and learning in person.
Wow.
And you're the type that maybe only learns from someone giving a presentation, et cetera. So a lot of people need to do some self-analysis and understand how it is that they learn best, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and then start trying to find a trade or a skill or a business that fits already in their zone of genius that they already have. Because we all already are gifted naturally in specific things.
Great tip. Great tip. I like it. What would you say? So you started your brand, right? You started from literally zero in personal branding to now have a massive personal brand. What is the best tips you can give to the audience in terms of building your own brand?
Yeah, so when it comes to building your brand, your biggest advantage, and we kind of talked about this too, your biggest advantage is your story. Because right now, there's so many people on social media that probably do what you do. Whether you're whether you're a roofer that's posting on social media to get roofing leads, whether you own a Medicare agency like me and you're posting on social media to recruit agents or get clients, etc. There's people out there that do what you do on social media. So the only thing that can separate you from the competition is your story. And this was my biggest advantage when I started ecomdegree.com, which was my company that I had for the past 7 years. We went from 0 to 40 million, and it was Amazon coaching, right? Think about how many people you know that teach e-commerce on social media. There's like thousands, right? So it's like, how did my company do $40 million while there's a lot of people in that space that, don't make $40 million? Or some of them even struggle to get clients because people don't trust them, et cetera. They don't want to do business with them. And really the differentiator that I had was I leaned into my story in every single post that I made. I talked about how it was working at Amazon. I was working there from 6 p.m. to 4 a.m. every single day, making $11 an hour. I would talk about that story, how I felt, how I got out of it. I would talk about how my family, immigrated from Nicaragua to the United States. I would talk about all these things, and that allowed me to resonate with people at a deeper level without even talking about what my business was. Because if you can get people to like you, you can pretty much get them to do whatever the next step is, right? Like, yes, my program was about Amazon, but you could replace Amazon with anything. It could have been about Airbnb. It could have been about
whatever.
Forex.
They already like you.
Yeah, it could have been about anything. But the fact that I got them to resonate with me and like me allowed me to sell them pretty much the product that I had. So just go on social media and get people to like you. If you get people to like you, you can sell them anything.
What's the best strategy to get people to like you?
People will like you if they feel like you are relatable or that they can resonate with you. People don't like people that they feel are too far away from them in like a personal level. Like if there's someone on social media that's, let's say you're just starting out, you're working a 9 to 5, and there's someone on social media that's super, super rich. Like there's a huge gap between you and that person, and they don't post any relatable content. Like they just post how rich they are. You're probably not gonna like that person. You may be inspired by that person,
but there's no way you're gonna do something with him.
Yeah, you're gonna feel like that. You're gonna feel like there's no way that I can do what they've done. Like we are not similar in any way. So you have to start posting content that people can resonate with. even if there is a huge gap, right?
I see what you're saying. So like, let's say you, whatever, even in your case, like always saying like, hey, this is where I come from. This is where I am today. This is how I was able to get it. So
even simple things like posting content, like here I am playing like basketball. Like I just hooped with my boy, posting gym content, posting what you read, little things that people can resonate with. Because someone can be like, oh yeah, I play basketball too. Oh wow, Will plays basketball, like makes me like him a little bit more. Or I'm reading that book as well. Oh wow, Will goes to that gym, I go to that gym.
did you had any like specific, I would say like strategy in terms of like, because I see like a lot of like Instagram marketers that like saying, hey, there is a certain amount of posts you gotta make, or certain, like, how was it for you? Like which strategy did you use to get viral, to get a lot of massive followers?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of strategies out there
Correct.
that work. I was never the type of person to be like, yo, post 3 times a day, post at this specific time.
Or like post reels, post YouTube.
Yeah.
Like what was that for you? Like what did you do to be successful in that niche?
Yeah, with me, it was more so just posting content that I knew would resonate with the audience. And I would try to show up every single day. So posting is what I call showing up. So I would show up to Instagram every single day. I would show up to Twitter every single day. And every single day I would try to create some type of valuable piece of content that either would hit on mindset or it would hit on like tactics, on what it was that I was exactly showing them how to do. And I would try to make at least one mindset post a day and then one tactical post a day. So I might make one post in the morning motivating people to start the day, telling my story because my story is pretty motivating. And then later that day, I'll post something about like, here's how to find a profitable product to sell on Amazon, something tactical, something that they could actually take and learn and like make money with.
What's interesting about what you had is that you already had, the Amazon stuff. That's something that you're good at. What would you say to people that are good in like general stuff but don't have that? Or they still need to post the motivation stuff to get their story going, build an audience? Because, for example, I talked to a couple of people in that were heavy in the marketing space that's saying, well, you should actually grow your page where you have a lot of audience, and your audience will let you know kind of what they want and what their questions and stuff like that. Do you believe in that, or do you use different strategy?
Yeah, I believe in that. And that's in the beginning of my personal brand. That's pretty much what I did. I documented my journey. I didn't have a product to sell. And over time, after about a year, people started asking me to drop a course. Like, yo, can you teach me how to do what you did, et cetera, et cetera. And when I had that demand, that's when I dropped the program. This was back in like 2017, 18.
Wow.
So your audience will ask you for things. And as a founder, you definitely should listen, for sure, especially if you don't have something already that you're kind of a master at, or, yeah.
Do you feel there is a massive advantage for people that started like in those years, like 2016, 2017, or do you feel like the same opportunity exists today?
No, I think the same opportunity exists today because there's still a huge delta between the amount of creators that there are on social media and then the amount of people consuming social media. So, in fact, I think it's probably easier to go viral today just because you have other platforms now that you can be viral on as well, like TikTok. Twitter is really, really big now. It wasn't as big when I was growing up. So, yeah, there's still a lot of opportunity today to grow.
So did you essentially had like, so you started it by yourself, and then how were you able to scale like the marketing space? Like brought a team, brought somebody who helped you with marketing? Because for example, I know about myself, like when I started, I went out to like a bunch of like marketing agencies that told me different types of tips, that some of them were good that I did and some of them were actually terrible.
Yeah.
How was it for you?
Yeah, so for me, when I was scaling up ecomdegree.com, I actually was I was doing all the marketing.
By yourself?
Yeah, so I think it's important as a early startup founder to have your hands in everything. So in the beginning, I was creating all the content. I was creating all of the landing pages. I was running
yourself.
I was running my own ads. I was writing my own copy. I didn't have ChatGPT either to like generate any of the stuff. So I knew how to do everything. I taught myself how to do everything. And once I knew how to do everything and I knew what good looked like, it was easier for me to pick an agency or pick a person to work with, because I had my baseline of like what good looked like. When you don't know what good looks like, you also don't know what terrible looks like either. So you're more susceptible to get screwed over if you don't know like what a good baseline of good or bad is. So yeah, I learned everything, and I started going to different masterminds. And through those masterminds, I actually made the connections and found the people that ended up helping me scale up to like 8 figures.
How important networking and investing in masterminds, events, things like that in your life?
Super important. I've spent probably close to $250,000 just on masterminds, courses, coaching.
Amazing.
Big believer in investing in yourself. I feel like information is the only thing that can buy your time back. You're not paying for information, you're paying for the time that it took that person to pretty much put all of that information in one concise spot, right? Like when I pay these people these tens of thousands of dollars to learn, it's people that have been in this industry that I'm trying to enter or learn about for like 20 years. So they're giving me their 20 years of knowledge.
In like a couple hours.
Yeah, in like an hour or two.
Crazy.
So that's what I'm paying for, and that's what's been able to help me grow really, really fast. So I've always been a big believer in education, like the right education. So if you're watching this and you're not where you want to be, ask yourself, like, how much have you invested in yourself? How many books have you read? How many masterminds have you gone to? Have you reached out for coaching? And if you start to realize that you're actually not doing that as much as you should be, it's probably why you're in a position you don't want to be in.
So I want to show you something. So when I started kind of my way out, I spent it like, I remember in the beginning, like for me, like 3,000 was like, holy crap. Like, and I spent it on 3 days. So like 1,000 per day was like a networking event. Actually it was Grant Cardone, social media, marketing, real estate, all of that. And I remember I came back home and I was like, I told my parents, like, I just spent like 3,000 on 3 days. And I was like, what? And my older brother is coming back, is like, bro, you just got scammed, you know it? I was like, and then, that thought came up to my head. I was like, holy crap, like, why did I do it? But then I was like, you know what, screw it. I did it. There is a reason I did it, and I'm just going to go with it. And bro, the amount of people, the connection, what I learned, and now doing it almost every month and almost traveling every month to different, events and stuff like that, literally changed my life. But I shared it for a reason, because I wanted to ask you, when you started, to spend money on events and networking and masterminds, I'm sure in the beginning, maybe your friends, family told you, bro, what the hell are you doing? You know what I mean? You're just like giving them money for free. What would you tell to the audience that like go through the same situation right now, that like it's actually a good thing to invest in yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start off by saying that a lot of the people in your life, especially the ones that love you, just because they love you doesn't mean that they know what's best for you. Your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, if you wouldn't trade places with them, you probably shouldn't be taking advice from them, right? You can love them, but if I would have listened to my mom, if I would have listened to my grandma, I would not be in the position that I am today, even though I love them to death.
For sure.
Right? Even though I love them to death, they're not in the position that I want to be. So I'm not about to take financial advice from someone that was struggling financially, right? So that's number one. Back in like 2017, 2018, I went to my first mastermind, similar to you. It was like $7,000, and that was a lot of money to me at the time. I might have had like 10 grand in my bank account. So it's like 7 grand is like pretty much wiping my whole net worth. And then I got to go pay for hotels, etc. And I asked this girl that I was talking to at the time, I was like, do you think I should wire this person $7,500 to go to this event? Like she knew that I was learning about marketing, webinars, all this stuff. And she was like, no, like it's a lot of money. And I remember I went to the gym the next day and I thought about it and I was like, even though she said no, like these are my dreams, not hers. So fuck it, I sent the wire, boom. Sent the wire, went to Miami. I lived in Atlanta at the time, the event was in Miami. And when I went to that event, I learned about webinars. I learned about running Facebook ads, and I met the first guy that actually ran my ads. And from that event, I built this $40 million business. Like if it wasn't for that event, I would have never learned that people can make millions of dollars selling courses. I would have never learned about webinars. I would have never met the guy that ran the whole marketing of my company. And yeah, that $7,000 investment
Literally turned to
yeah,
40 million.
Exactly. And I also met a lot of friends there that are still my friends today, because at the time I was still like in that same friend group from high school, which now I don't talk to any of those people.
Wow.
Not because, literally the only reason I don't talk to those people is because we just don't have the same routines or goals, or we just don't talk about the same things.
Wow.
And I think that's important too. Like, it goes back to what I said earlier. If you wouldn't trade places with someone, you should not be asking them questions about what it is that you're trying to do. And if right now your friend group is people that you wouldn't trade places with, you should probably be making these decisions about your future by yourself, or confiding with someone that's in a position that you would actually want to be in. Yeah.
Dude, that's like, I feel like that's amazing that you say, because now people can, look at you and be like, you know what? Let's say they're in defense of like, hey, should I invest? Should I not? But there's so many people like you that got successful literally by investing in themselves. And I feel like a lot of time when we invest in ourselves, it's not just to invest in mastermind or stuff like that. It's actually to invest in actually showing us, bro, you're actually capable of achieving that. What is your biggest challenge until today that you faced?
Biggest challenge?
Biggest challenge.
That's a good question. Biggest challenge. I would say my biggest challenge would be just balancing work and life. That's probably my biggest challenge to date.
Wow.
Simply because I have huge goals, so I work a lot, but I also have, family, friends that I try to dedicate time towards. So it's like finding the right balance between that is my biggest challenge. But also when you listen to a lot of super successful people, that's also their biggest challenge. So
I know.
makes me feel a
Tom
little
Brady,
better.
for example, was talking about it big time.
Yeah.
That he wanted to be back into football and then stuff with his wife. Why do you think a lot of people, well, actually, different question. I want to ask you. So when you're getting to be super successful, making good amounts of money, things are becoming easier in a way too. So why do you think a lot of people are still dealing with maybe like an anxieties and stuff like that, even if, income-wise, financial-wise, they're all set? Like, that's kind of something interesting to me to ask you.
I would say, the quote, more money, more problems is fairly accurate. When you start to make more money, and I'll speak from my experience because it could be different for other people.
Correct.
But when I started to make more money, I started to immediately have more responsibilities because nobody in my family had ever made a lot of money. Every single person in my family worked a regular 9-to-5 job. Every single person in my family was making less than $50K a year. So as soon as I started to make money, as soon as I started to get into business, I had to pretty much fund. I didn't have to, but I think I put it upon myself to start to help everyone in
Wow.
my family. And what you start to learn when you become successful is that the people that are successful for a reason, and the people that aren't successful for a reason too. And you have to start to understand that you can't fully support everybody. And you're pretty much just throwing money into a fire pit if these people aren't willing to change their ways. And that was hard. And as you become more successful, those are problems that you're gonna have to deal with, right? You're gonna have family members asking you for money, and odds are if they're asking you for money, they're gonna ask you for money again. It's not gonna be the only time, right?
It's so funny because I was literally talking to my older brother the other day about it, and he was trying to teach me a lesson there too, because I'm like that too. Like I'm trying to listen to everybody, but in the end of the day, I take the advice that I think is good for me to take, right? But we were talking about, how important it is to know who you give the money to, because even if you give somebody, it doesn't mean that you did the right thing for him by giving him money.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
100%. 100%. It's like giving a man a fish instead of teaching them how to fish.
Exactly.
I'm really big on, I have 2 little brothers and I help them out. They're both business owners as well. But I'm really big on just making sure that I'm teaching them how to fish and not just always giving them handouts, because people become reliant on you. So you're actually crippling someone by always being there for them, because now they're learning that you're basically their backbone. You're their plan B.
So now they're gonna try even less hard and things like that.
They know that they're secure because you're always going to be there for them. So you're actually crippling someone by always bailing them out.
What do you think about so I had a really successful also entrepreneur that came before you, and I asked him about girls. Because I feel like, especially here in Miami, bro, it's a topic that I like to talk about, because a lot of men, as I'm going and building this podcast and interviewing some billionaires and like very successful people, you understand that marriage, relationship is a big part of, are they happy? Are they sad? Are they in a good mental health? And so I want to ask, how was that in your life? Like, do you have a non-negotiable? When you started to make more money, how did you deal with that? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm just speaking from my experience, but when I got into entrepreneurship, I was 17 years old. And the reason why I even started a business in the first place was because I had the big goal of buying my mom a house one day.
Wow.
And, my mom came to America again she came to the United States when she was 18 years old. And every single day, I literally would, my heart would break seeing how we were living, in this very small apartment, practically the worst part of the neighborhood that you could live in Cincinnati, Ohio. Then when we moved to Georgia, it got a little bit better. And I literally couldn't sleep at night knowing that was our situation.
At 17 years old.
Yes.
Crazy.
And I don't know why God put it upon my shoulders to save the whole lineage, but that's just how I felt. And because that's how I felt, I couldn't be distracted by anything. So it's I didn't have a girlfriend until I was successful.
Wow.
So every single day I would just study. I had no internet in the place that I lived, so I would drive 45 minutes to the college that I dropped out of just to use their Wi-Fi and just to use the conference room to build my online business. And when I became successful, then all the other extracurricular stuff girls, etc. That's when I started to dive into that. Luckily today, I have a girlfriend. Her name's Alexis. She's great. She's also a business owner as well. And what I learned in my previous relationship was that I'm the type of guy that loves, business is 80% of my life. And I tried to be in that traditional relationship where it's you separate business and the relationship.
Yeah.
You don't
that's
talk about business at home.
Coming home, yeah.
You just try to act interested in other things, what Netflix show they're watching and stuff. And I just couldn't do it. Other guys can do it, and other guys prefer it. Other guys prefer doing business, and then when they get home, they don't talk about anything that has
for
to
you.
do
That's your life.
For me, it's it's my life. So it's if I can't share that with you, I'm practically I don't know who the fuck I am. That's all I do.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be in a relationship now where my partner is also a business owner. I actually helped her grow her business. She's doing really, really well. She has a big female sales academy where she teaches women how to get into sales. Wow. And, it's nice to be able to chop it up with someone and it's nice to have someone understand you pretty much. Because in my previous relationships, they didn't understand me because of the fact that they didn't understand business.
So I just want to ask you, bro, when you started to make, were girls, when you started your way up, was you chasing girls and stuff like that? Because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs are going to watch this episode. It's going to be interesting to them to hear your point of view on whether they maybe get a goal of 100,000 per month, and before that, you're not talking to anybody, you don't go on to dates, or you make 10,000 and go to dates. You get what I'm saying? What is that balance should be for entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I would say you really just have to know yourself. For me, it was easy. I didn't really get distracted by girls on my come up because I was surrounded by a lot of great entrepreneurs as well. I think who you surround yourself with is so important. The quote that you're the average of the 5 people closest to you, I think that's fairly accurate. Because obviously, even when we were in high school, right, it's all the athletes hang out with the athletes.
Correct.
Right? And they're all fit because why? Because they're doing the same workouts, they have the same lifestyle, they're eating the same stuff. And it's the same thing with your friends that you have now, right? if all of your friends are fat, you're probably fat too. If all of your friends are broke, you're probably broke too, because you guys share similar habits, and your life isn't a result of your life is literally a result of your habits, because your habits determine your decisions, and your decisions determine exactly where you are right now. So for me, because I was good at putting myself around people that were doing better than me, I was never really ever doing things that wouldn't get me towards my goals. Like, I was never really partying. I was never really messing with a lot of girls. I was always kind of doing the things that these guys were doing as well, which...
That's crazy, because I feel like it takes so much, discipline and staying consistent. And, a lot of times, especially here in Miami, I see a lot of entrepreneurs that will make their first buck or so, get the car or whatever. Like, what is your take on that? Is it like do you work typically on a specific goal and then you get that? Like, how do you see that?
Yeah, luckily for me, I wasn't going through my come up stages in Miami. So I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, a lot less fun than Miami, not much to do there. And when I made my first $1 million, I bought a house in Atlanta. And then when I really scaled, I didn't come to Miami until like I was good.
Wow.
Like I had a house in Atlanta. I had all the cars I wanted. I had a girlfriend already. Then I came to Miami.
Wow.
So, yeah,
it's tough on us, bro. The ones that live here, man, it's a different word. I want to ask you something, bro. So today, I would definitely consider you a successful person. Do you see it as a successful person, or to you it's like, bro, I'm not even starting?
I would definitely consider myself successful in the fact that the only goal I ever had in my life was to buy my mom a house.
Wow.
And I did that. I did that in 2022. Bought my mom a house cash. I was like 23 years old.
Crazy.
And what I learned from that too is that life will only give you what you ask it for. So I remember like being completely broke, 17, 18 years old, and I would write down like the things that I wanted to do. And a couple of the things that I wrote down was like, I want to buy my mom a house. I want to make $1 million. And then I want to have a Lamborghini Huracan Evo. And I wrote down like how much all those things cost, like what I would have to do to get them. And through just being consistent and resilient, I got all of those things.
Crazy.
But I didn't get anything more. And that's what I learned. I was like, life will only give you what you ask of it. And literally, as soon as I made the $1 million, as soon as I bought my mom a house, as soon as I got the Lamborghini Huracan, I started to make less and less money. My business started failing. I started getting not as fit as I was. I started getting fat. And it's because after I hit that, I didn't have any other goals.
Wow.
And I learned to set bigger goals. So would I say that I'm successful? Yes, because I hit my ultimate goal of life, but I'm still continuously working and trying to achieve more, because I'm also a big believer that you're either growing or you're dying. There's no like stagnant ground.
What was your biggest, I would say, biggest way to educate yourself? Because you did a lot of stuff, right? You told me about, scaling the course and e-commerce and stuff like that, but you also didn't come from that. So were you just spending so much time on YouTube, like learning, or you mentioned the mastermind? Where did you grab your education on all of that?
Yeah, so like you said, no one in my business was no one in my family was an entrepreneur. None of my friends were in business. So I pretty much had to start, before even learning, I had to start unlearning a lot of stuff.
What does that mean?
Like, most of us, we grow up and we're taught that making money is hard. We're taught that the people that are rich are, they were born rich.
Or like scammers and stuff. Yeah.
So I had to unlearn all that stuff. I had to teach myself that all that stuff actually wasn't true. So that was step one, because we grow up with all these limiting beliefs. And after I had to remove all that stuff from my brain, I started to educate myself through books. And it wasn't books by choice. Like, I actually hated reading. Like, I was the type of, I hated school. I was bad at school. I was bad at reading, studying, etc. But I chose books because that was the cheapest option. I could buy a book for $5 and read it. And one of the books that changed my life was Think and Grow Rich, because it talked about masterminds in that book. It talked about the reticular activating system, which is like basically what that is it's a concept that your subconscious mind only exists to prove your conscious mind right. And basically, like if you're a girl and you think all men are trash, all men are going to be trash. And every time a guy does something to confirm that, your subconscious and your conscious mind is going to be like,
Wow.
see, you were right.
Yeah.
But it's also true for positive thinking, right? And it goes back to the quote that I said earlier, thoughts either serve you or they control you. So when you start focusing on and training yourself to see life in a different way, you actually start seeing it in a different way. So when I was 17, 18 years old, I started to tell myself, like, you know what, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to make X amount a month. I'm going to do this. And when I started to actually tell myself those things and actually believe those things, opportunities started revealing themselves in my life. And that was like the biggest thing for me in the beginning.
Dude, that's amazing, bro. I feel like how you see stuff, especially, you know, because everybody can go on Google, YouTube, like learn a lot, but there's difference between, you know, listening to somebody that's actually done it to somebody that does. I feel like there's a lot of people that teaching, but there's not a lot of people that actually had the credibility to teach, you know, especially nowadays. So I want to ask you, let's say you lost everything today.
Yeah.
And I know you probably know that the question that I'm asking, but do you believe that it will take you a couple years to get it back, or you had to go through everything all over again?
No, I definitely wouldn't have to go through everything over again. Yeah, if I lost everything, I'm fully confident that I'd be able to get everything back, because the most valuable thing that you have is what you know, because nobody can take that away from you. And if you knew how to get what you want, you would already have it. You know, if you literally, Alex Hormozy talks about this, but all being intelligent is the ability to have the things that you want. So you measure intelligence by, does that person have what they want, right? And right now, I pretty much have 90% of the things that I want. And it's because of the things that I know. So if you strip all of these things away from me, I know how to get them back. So yeah, all those 7 years, 8 years that I put into like personal development, investing in myself, learning business, being coached by different mentors, I could get all this stuff back.
So I want to ask you some questions about, you know, you mastered the thing called course, you know, like online course, info products. How would you come up with an idea or an offer to use or sell or, you know, share it with your audience?
Yeah, I mean, I recently did it pretty much with my girlfriend's offer. So like, she has one of the biggest female sales academies out right now. It's called Her Last Call Academy. My girlfriend had 1,000 followers like a year ago. Now
Wow.
She has 100,000 followers.
Crazy.
She went from making $0 online to now her online business does about $500K a month. And it's very simple framework. Literally, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. I just told her, I was like, start posting content on social media, relatable content, and resonate with your audience. And her audience, first you got to pick a target market. Her target market is women that work a 9-to-5, that want to be at home, sipping matchas, or be on the beach, on their laptop, making money, right? Traveling. That's her target market.
So everybody have to find as a step number one, find your market.
You got to find your target market, because if you're trying to speak to everybody, your message is going to get across to nobody. But if you have a target market and you start making your content around talking to that specific person, then your content is going to resonate a lot more, right? Like, for example, if I picked a target market of, I want to talk to Latino males that are between the ages of 18 to 30 that grew up with a single mom, now I can make some fire content, right? Because it's like,
you know,
the specific content that's going to resonate with that person is going to be very specific. And it's easier to come up with content ideas around that. So with her, it was like, okay, we want to target females that are between this age bracket that want to do Pilates and sit matcha and travel and make money from their phone. And naturally, they're already pretty extroverted, so they can just use that skill and get into sales. That was our target market. And all of her content is around that.
And then now, after she understood, okay, that's the market, she already had the idea for the school, like so it's like kind of like a school, or?
Yeah, so basically she was my top salesperson. So she was the top salesperson for my company.
Oh, wow.
And we were pretty much just talking, and I was like, you know what, like as a salesperson for me, you're probably gonna be capped at around 30 grand a month, because that's just the nature of the business. But if you start a program and you start teaching other women how to do this, because there's millions of women out there that probably want to learn how to make 20 grand, 30 grand a month, right? You have more leverage there because there's more people that you can educate and impact with an academy like this than you being a salesperson for me, right? It just makes more sense to transition into that if you aspire to make more money. And then she was like, yeah, I want to do that. So I pretty much just helped her with all the content. And she just started posting on TikTok and Instagram every single day. And we did a launch. So we promoted this live event, this webinar that we were going to do, teaching women how to get into sales. And we promoted it for, I think, 2 weeks. And in our first month, we did 100K, so all organic.
Wow.
And then we got into the more advanced stuff like paid ads, et cetera.
So when you come up with the product, with the live event, what would you give to the audience, since you guys have done it obviously successfully? How does that look like for the audience that are pretty new, but they're like, you know what, I actually like this idea, I want to do the same thing?
Yeah, I would
what
say
are like the back end strategy for that?
it's very simple. First, figure out what you have of value to provide to the marketplace. For my girlfriend, it was the fact that she found a career that could make anyone 10 to 30K plus a month. And we also found out that women are naturally better at sales than men because they're able to resonate with the person on the phone way easier.
Wow.
Right? Men, and also when you're trying to sell something, if it's a guy on the other end of the phone trying to sell you, naturally your walls go up.
Yeah.
When it's a girl, you're
like,
your
you're
walls
gonna
aren't
listen,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. So like women just naturally are better at sales than men. And then she was also a successful salesperson in that industry. So we knew that that was a value that she could provide to the marketplace. Like she could teach women how to get a sales job and how to sell. So that was one. We figured out what the value was. Number two, we figured out the target market. We're not just trying to teach every single female out there. We're trying to teach ambitious women that are between, the ages of maybe like 18 to 40, like around that age, and that also want to live like a Pilates girl, matcha, travel lifestyle. That lifestyle, right? The lifestyle she promotes living here in Miami. And once we found our target and once we knew the value that we could provide, we started posting content around that. So educational content on how to get into sales, lifestyle content to show people the life that she was living so that they could like see that resonate and see that. And we started telling her story because, she didn't always make 30K a month as a closer. She used to also work a regular 9 to 5, making like 4K a month, et cetera. So we told that story as well. And then the next step is to actually have a launch, which I love doing launches with webinars because I feel like a reel is cool, a post is cool, but you can't really get someone to pay you for something off a 30-second reel because they can't really know you from a 30-second reel. So we hosted a 2-hour training where she told her story, she educated people on how to get into sales, and at the end she made an offer for $1,000 to learn.
That was like a course? Or?
Yeah, it was a course to learn more from her. And webinars are the best way to take someone from cold to warm because in those 2 hours, they now know, like, and trust you. And if they are actually serious about getting into that space, why would they go with anyone else? If they just spent 2 hours with you, they know, like, and trust you now, and they know that you can help them. The only reason they wouldn't buy at the end is if simply they just couldn't afford it. So you just make the offer at the end, and then that's it. That's the framework.
And then you scale it pretty much into many ways.
And then you can scale it with paid ads, which all paid ads is you're paying Meta, which is the company that owns Facebook and Instagram. You're paying them to show your content to more people. So I could pay Meta $100 a day to show this video to 1,000 people a day. So if you're posting content on social media and it's already doing well organically, running ads to that organic content is just like pouring gasoline on the fire. So her content was already good. We did 100K organically,
Wow,
with
it's amazing.
no ads. So we knew that the content was good. So we just took those same videos and we started running ads behind them to put more eyeballs on them, and then the business kept growing.
What did you feel helped her to gain so many followers in a short time? Because let's say if you're in the audience and you have no followers, nobody really know you, but you're like, oh crap, I also want to get 100,000 in 1 month. What did you feel like helped her?
Yeah, so she went from 1,000 to 100,000 in pretty much like a year, like less than a year. And what helped her was, number one, she was posting every single day. Number two, her content was very relatable. It was targeted to her target audience.
Back to that target audience that you were talking about.
Every single post was targeted towards that target audience, and she wasn't afraid to be controversial. Like a lot of her posts went viral because they were controversial.
So things like
it's just very polarizing content.
whatever.
Like I think she had one piece of content in this studio where she basically said like, I wouldn't date a man that makes under like X amount a month.
I think I actually saw that video. Yeah,
so
I think
that was my girlfriend.
yeah.
I scripted that hook.
Oh shit.
So it's like just having crazy hooks, because like the whole premise of the video was like, I wouldn't date a man that makes X amount a month because I can't be more determined than him. I can't have a better mindset than him. Like that was like the premise of the video.
Yeah.
But we knew the hook would like throw people off. And the thing is, we knew that video would piss off a lot of guys, which is okay because they're not our target market. We're not selling to them anyways. So that video ended up getting like 2-3 million views.
Because guys will share it now with their friends.
Because guys
like,
are sharing it. Guys are like, we basically rage baited them. So now they're in the comments mad, but now it gets shown to 2 million women, and then we have 10, 20,000 of them register for the event.
I think I actually saw that video too, and I think I shared it to my friend.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, you better make more money, or you ain't gonna get a girl in Miami.
Yeah, so that video went viral, and then that led to probably like 6 figures made on the next webinar. So we post a lot of like polarizing content that we know would go viral. Like the last post that she made was like what we spend in a month as a middle class couple. And then it was like rent $13,000 a month, like Lamborghini Revolta.
Yeah.
It's just rage bait content, Yeah. So that's what
that's what it is. But I really like how you emphasize like everything was back to like find who is your target.
Right.
Like I feel like that's pretty big. What is the biggest tip you can give somebody that is not successful, want to be successful, and look at you as an example? What would you tell him?
That's a great question. So when people are starting out and they want to be successful, I think a lot of them get into this mindset of what do I need to learn? Or like, who do I need to add to my network? But when you want to become successful, when you're looking to get to the next level, a lot of times you have to do subtraction before addition. So there's a lot of things that you actually have to unlearn. Instead of making friends, there's a lot of friends that you have to lose and cut off. So I would start out with the subtraction, right? When I decided that I wanted to be successful, I went from I think I followed like 5,000 people to like I follow like 200 people now. I had to unfollow everybody that wasn't inspiring me. I had to unfollow all of the friends that I knew weren't going to get me to where I wanted to be. And also unfollow a lot of the bullshit that I was following, like rappers, celebrities, like shit that just, it wasn't going to benefit me whatsoever, right? So I would say you have to do a lot of subtraction and understand that what entertains you trains you. So obviously if you're watching Netflix all the time, if you're scrolling on social media all the time, and you're just brain rotting, that's not getting you to where you want to be. So I had to flip the script. I had to start reading books, watching documentaries on successful business people, because that's what's going to get you to the next level. So remove people from your life that aren't serving you. Do an audit of your whole life.
Wow.
That's step number one.
Man. We definitely learned a lot from you. Brother, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I feel like, you know, we talked about your life, but you can also, I feel like we literally gave to the audience like a roadmap. You know, you talked about making sure that your decision is good, making sure that you're not listening to everybody who's telling you no, and talking about the story. Like, that's the one thing I even took from you, is like how important is the story. Thank you so much, bro. How can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Will Change Lives, and you can also follow my company, Future First Advisors, on Instagram as well. Those are like the two main places that I'm at. And yeah, appreciate you having me on.
Man, thank you so much. And guys, if you like this episode, make sure you give it a thumbs up, like it, subscribe it. Let me know in the comments who should I interview next. And hopefully you guys took a lot from it. William is a very successful individual. And thank you so much, brother, for coming on. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. Thank you, guys.